I want to talk to you about forests in Wargaming. I like area terrain with clearly defined boundaries. When I've built them in the past, I would glue trees directly to the bases. That looks nice. But when you move a unit in a game, you can't really put it where it should go. And then you leave it to the side, and all your measurements are off. And what was the point of having those clearly defined boundaries in the first place? Now, if you could take the trees off of that base, that's just plain utilitarian. I bought these pre-made forest bases with removable discs to put your trees on. And as much as I love the smell of laser-cut wood, I thought to myself, I can make these. So I did. Let me show you how. The first step to making area terrain is sketching out the base. I pull out my trusty sheet of foamcore board and draw out a rough triangle shape. I'm thinking I'd like a piece I can stick in the corner of my tables. I cut out around the area of the board I've drawn on. Now I have a smaller piece and I can actually sit down to work. Then I pull out a model with an appropriately sized base and draw some circles inside the triangle, but any round object will do. These mark where my trees will go, and the cutouts will act as their bases. I'm going to use a small box cutter and kind of punch holes around the pencil circles. Cutting a circle by pulling a knife is difficult, and this will make that process easier. Once the circle is established, you can lightly trace through them with the blade and cut your circles out. I'll sand the edges of both the cutouts and their former homes just to make sure they fit smoothly. I can take them in and out with no problem. Speaking of smooth, how is this segue asking you nicely to please like and subscribe? Next, I'll cut down the edges of the foam core to match my pencil drawings more exactly. I'm a little loose with this. It doesn't have to fit into anything, and the imperfections make it look natural. Then I bevel the edges with my knife and sand it down smooth. When I'm happy with it, I'll put it back on top of my big sheet of foam core and sketch out another piece. The same shape, but a little larger. We're going to glue it to the bottom of our first piece to build a sloped edge and make the whole thing a little bit sturdier. As before, a rough cut is fine here, imperfections make it look natural. And once the second piece is cut and sanded, I squeeze just a little bit of wood glue in between the two and make any final adjustments to placement, then sandwich them between a pair of books to dry. As it dries, we're going to take our cutouts and affix some small plastic trees I bought online. I love hand making terrain, but small plastic trees are cheap and plentiful, so this is an area I don't mind dropping a few bucks to save time. For our next step, we're going to ease the transition between the two halves of the base, and I apply a little bit of Spackling Paste using a popsicle stick. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, later steps will hide it. Plus, I welcome grit and texture in a project like this. Now let's add some more texture. I get my wood glue, 1-inch brush, cup of water, and my big bags of cat litter and sand. I apply wood glue directly to the base and use my brush to spread it around, occasionally dunking my brush in water so the glue can thin and spread a little easier. I want to cover everything, but I am careful around the circles, as getting sand into the cutouts will make putting the trees in and removing them more difficult. Now just sprinkle some cat litter here and there before we cover the rest in sand. We follow the same procedure for the tree bases. And now on to painting. I highly recommend using cheap acrylic craft paint like this giant bottle of burnt umber. Save your nice paints for your minis. Otherwise, this part's simple, just paint the whole thing brown with some care around the cutouts for the same reason as before. When the brown has dried, I go back in and dry brush a mixture of this parchment color with a touch of burnt umber so that it becomes more of a brownish gray. Then dry brush the whole kit and caboodle with my 1-inch brush. Just enough to pick out the texture, not recolor the whole thing. Dry brushes don't take so long to dry, so pretty quickly we're back for the home stretch. We're gonna add some greenery, starting with the old, tried and true green flock. This bag is by Woodland Scenics. I'll thin some wood glue with water on my palette, and then paint some round patches here and there. Oh, but maybe not like that one. And sprinkle the flock over top. This stuff gets everywhere and is very light, so be mindful it can get quite messy. Even my HVAC system gently going off was enough to mess with my application. It'll be safer and easier just to dip the tree bases directly into the bag of flock. At this point, this piece is a perfectly fine and functioning Wargaming Forest. However, there is just one more touch I want to try. I'm going to add some craft store moss to the bases of these trees, get some shrubbery in there. Simple application, just dab some wood glue and press a chunk of the moss for an instant bush. I wouldn't recommend applying it to the larger base, as the movement and placement of models on the table will inevitably tear and damage it. But that's all you need. Simple, easy forest for wargaming purposes. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this video has inspired you to help breathe a little life into your own wargaming tables. This is Bristle, happy painting, and I'll see you on the next one.